Okay, we're back. I'm just going to unpause the game and we're going to continue. So now what I'm going to do is, because I've changed the output of each of these vents, what I need to do is recalculate it all. So once again, I have 24 vents, which is 6 arrays. So I have 24, and I'm going to multiply that by the output for each of the. So if I look up here, I have 45.751 per vent. So 24 times that equals 1,098,000,000. 1,098,000,000. So that's my maximum heat. I'm going to go to options. I'm going to hit export, and I'm going to add in a couple of these guys here now. So that's one. I'm going to come over to this other side. I'm going to add in another one. So I'm up to 621 million. I think I can add one more. I'm going to hit export just in case. Export. And I'm going to add in. Okay, so that's about as good as I'm going to get for now. I think if I add another cell, it's going to blow it up. So I have enough cash to upgrade the output, power output for that cell. So I'm going to do that. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish replacing all of these tier 3 capacitors with the tier 4 capacitors. And then I'm going to recalculate how much heat I can output. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to recalculate. So I have 24 times 53.849. Gives me a total of 1.2 billion or trillion. Am I up to? Yeah, billion. Okay. So I'm going to hit options, export, and I'm going to add in a couple more cells. 1 point. Okay, that I'm going to export again and add in another cell. And that looks like it should be melting me down. Okay, if I look here now, I can see that there's heat being added to these guys. So right now I have too much heat in my system, but I'm ready to add my next row of arrays. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to remove 3 rows of these thorium cells. And then my reflectors. And now if I look, my heat's back to 0. So I'm not producing more heat than I can take. And I'm going to add in my row of reflectors as a buffer. And I'm going to add in another. Basically, I'm going to copy this and put it up in here. And then the outlets. And then my capacitors. Okay, and now I got 40. Now I have 12 arrays, which gives me 48 vents. So I'm going to put 48 times 97.576 gives me a max of 4,683,000,000. So I can go to options, export, and now I can add in some more of these guys. So I'm just going to keep, like I said, I'm going to keep an eye on this. So I'm up to 2.5 billion. .9, 4.1. I'm going to go to options, hit export again. 4.3, options, export. 4.6. Alright, so am I adding heat? Nope. Okay, so I have 60 million that I could add, but I don't have any cells that'll do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look how much the next power upgrade for these guys is, which is 200 billion. So I'm going to save up 200 billion and I'm going to buy that. And then after that, I'm going to remove another 3 rows of these thorium, add another row of arrays, and recalculate. Alright, so there we go. This is only 20 billion, so I'm going to get this. And that's it for that. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to remove 3 more rows of this. Add in my buffer. And I'm almost ready for the next tier of vents or arrays. Okay, I'm going to recalculate. I know now that I have 72 or 24, 48, 72. So I'm going to multiply 72 times 141.303 gives me a total of 10,173,000,000. Go to options, export, and I'm going to add in some more of these seaborgium. 9.1 billion. I'm going to export. Alright, I think I'm getting close. 10.2, that's too much. So let me see. Okay, so I have enough cash now. This is going to cost me 100 billion. This is going to cost me 100 billion. So remember, I have to upgrade both of these together. So they're both on level 5. So I'm going to hit both of them, get them both up to level 6. And now if I come back, my heat's no more a problem. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to recalculate how much I can get. So once again, it's 72 times 174.098 gives me 12. I can go up to 12 billion now. $12.5. Okay, that's about as close as I'm going to get. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to save up for this next level. So what I need is a trillion for the vents, and so I need about 1.5 trillion. I have over 1.5 trillion. So I'm going to do is first I'm going to replace the 4 vents, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I'm going to replace this outlet. I'm going to check just a rough estimate of, so I have 13 billion times 4, which is going to give me 50 billion. I can see my number is not over 50 billion, so what I know I can do is I can get rid of all of these old vents. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill in the second row that I had with capacitors, just to make sure that this stays above where it was. And I'm actually going to get rid of this row here. And I'm going to add in another buffer. And I can put in some of these guys just as a filler for the moment. They're not going to be here long, but all the power helps. Okay, so I'm going to calculate. So I got 4 times 13.5 gives me 54 billion. I'm going to go to options, export, and I can start adding some more of these. 54. Once 27, 32, and I can see now I'm producing enough power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to upgrades, and I'm going to upgrade. I'm going to upgrade this first, actually. Okay, so I got another chrono level, and now I'm going to upgrade my improved power lines to increase my amount of power I sell per tick. I got enough. I think that's enough. I'm not going to bother getting the second. Oh, it looks like I do need a second one. So I'm going to hit it again. And I'm going to increase the capacity of my capacitors. So there we go. So it's selling enough now. I have 44 of 54. I'm going to go to export, just so I don't blow up my reactor. Okay, there we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in more of the arrays. Let me see. I think I can do them all one shot. And I'm going to get rid of these capacitors. And I think I can add in one of these next here. Okay, so I added in one of those guys. Now I'll add my buffer again. And let's see, these are 600. I'm going to add a couple more of these because every single time I add in these, it's going to increase the venting, and I don't want to have to calculate it over and over again. So I'm just going to spend a couple of seconds to get maybe the bottom row done with them. That's good enough for me. So I got 24 vents, so I'm going to multiply that 24 times their heat, which is 5.275, which gives me 126 billion max. I only have 48 currently. So I am good to fill up the rest of the reactor with this stuff here. I'm going to check my next upgrade. So I have enough for it, 2 trillion. I'm going to get that. And okay. Now I'm just going to fill up the rest of this with the tier 5 capacitor or ultimate capacitor. And we're getting close to the end. I only have one more tier of power cell to do, and then we are done. And if I look, I should be, okay, I'm up to 7 exotic particles already, and it's just going to start growing from that now. The way exotic particles are determined is it's based on the lower total. So if I look here, I have total power produced, and it's 29 trillion, and then I have total heat dissipated at 61 trillion. The exotic particles are calculated based on the lower of those two. So currently power is the lower of the two, so my exotic particles are based on a log function of this. So you get your first exotic particle once this hit 1 trillion, and then after that it just takes more and more to get more and more exotic particles. So for this run, after about the second prestige, it's always going to be pretty much always the heat that's going to determine your exotic particles, because this number is going to end up being the lower of the two once we start doing our prestige upgrades. But for this first run, it's going to be your power that is going to determine your exotic particles. So we're almost done. I'll just finish off adding this, and then I'll stop this video for the next one. Be sure to hit that like button. Hitting that like button brings this video to more people so that they can see this and get through their first prestige a lot easier. Okay, so I think I got about 20 seconds. I can just get some extra power for the moment before I pause. Let me see my upgrades. Next, I'm going to go for these guys. So I need 8.5 trillion to upgrade this. Alright, that's it for this one. I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, hit that like button.